Back to the motorcycle layer again this week. This time we're going to do fork seals on a Harley-Davidson Softail. It's a pretty normal thing to have them go bad. What happens is they'll start leaking right out of this piece right here. This lets the fluid come up, it'll get on the front of the bike, and that's how you know your fork seals are leaking. It's something that should be checked at every interval for maintenance, but they occasionally do have to be released. What you need to do, all it is just a simple seal that we have right here. It's one of the bad ones. And these seals that go over your fork tubes will just start to leak right around the inside here or around the outside. You can see how they get corroded and they start to go bad. They will let fluid pass, then you have fluid all over the front of your bike. So what we're going to do is show you how to change a fork seal today. So the first thing to do when you're doing fork seals is you got to get to your forks, which means you got to pull your front wheel off the bike, front fender's got to come off the bike, your brake caliper has to come off. And on a Softail, you have to pull your turn signals loose because they are mounted on top of the tube itself. So once you pull all that off, you can get to this point where you have your tubes separate, tube still on the bike, everything else is off. To get the tube itself off, it does take one specialty tool that you have to have. And that tool is actually a fork cap socket, which is this little tool here. It's just a simple little tool. It's a specially designed socket to go on the fork caps. And it just locks on like that, and you turn it with the wrench, and it will loosen that right up so you can get access to it. Once you get that off, you pull that loose. The other ones you got to look at are a bolt back here, a pinch bolt that will stop it from coming down, letting the tube out, and your screw up here. It's a set screw. You got to pull those two loose, but not out. Pull this off, and the fork tube will actually slide right out of the bike. Now we've got one off already. Turn this. We've got one of the tubes off already. First thing you do when you pull the tube off, you're going to pull the top off of it, you drain all the fluid out of it. Once the fluid's out, the next piece to come off is a dust cap. Once you get the dust cap off, you're going to be able to see inside and see where it's actually leaking. You'll actually see the seal will actually be a little bit moist. You can actually see it dripping down in there. From this point, you need to have a small screwdriver. Maybe grab. Abby, in the house. Go.
That's what we're looking at now.
Go.
Abby, come on, back in the house, sweetie pie.
So once you get the dust cap off, you need to get to this little piece in here. It's just a little holder, little bracket. Pull it loose there, there, there. And that comes right out. It's the next piece to come off. Now, from this point, you need to actually remove the tube from the lowers. To do that, there's only one way to do it. You have to have a 6mm Allen, a long one, to fit up in there. And on this fork, you actually have to pull off the lower cap because it'll be in your way, where on the other one there's actually an access hole to get through. So for this, get some air.
Here we go.
There's a bolt right in the bottom here, 6mm Allen bolt, that has to come out so you can separate the two parts. To do that, take your impact.
And we're gone. And we're gone.
Oop, we lost it. There we go.
Oh, there you are.
Ah, we
Okay.
found you. Never mind. Sorry.
Take it. Gonna loosen that bolt. Gonna pull the bolt and make sure the crush washer comes out with it. Little metal washer, it's got to come out with it. Once you get that out, clean it off, make sure there's no damage on it. Recommend you usually replace that washer. You got them, otherwise they will be able to be reused once in a while. You can reuse about once and you're going to have to replace them the second time. Clean it up real good. And when you want to take it, you're going to have to drain any fluid left in there. It's going to have to come out, otherwise you will have a mess on your hands. Take it, pull the tube up and down a couple times, get some of the fluid out of there, make sure it all drains. Then to remove the tube from the lower, you just have to snap it out, hit it a few times, pop it right out. Set the tube down. Make sure when you pull this apart, there's a piece right in the bottom that doesn't want to come out of this one this time. There's a little piece that'll fit over the edge of this that actually holds it all in place while it's in the bike. It is actually in here still. Doesn't want to come out, we can leave it in there. But it's got to go back in the end. Now, there's no clean way to do fork seals. You will always have a mess. What you need to do is once you get the tube off, pull off your bushing, spacer, and the old seal. Those parts, what you're going to replace is this seal itself. The bushing's in there to keep this fork from flopping around, the slider and slide from flopping around. Spacer's in there to separate this to give it a good solid hold. Now, first thing you want to do after you get the tube out is clean it off. Make sure you get all the old, and as much of the old fluid off as you can. Make sure there's no damage to the tube, which can happen riding. From that point, you want to take a piece of emery cloth or real light sandpaper. Just take it and clean up the sides of the tube a little bit. Not hard, don't want to use anything real rough and damage the tube. Just enough to take off any little burr or something that might be on there that could damage the seal from going back on. Get that cleaned off. Okay, from there, you get your new seal out, which I have. You can get these, any Harley-Davidson dealer is going to have them. You can get them from aftermarket shops. They range in price. Harley-Davidson are about $13, $14 a piece. Aftermarket, they're probably about $6, $7 a piece, depends on where you go. But they're all pretty much the same, and it's just going to slide back over that tube. So once you get it cleaned off, you take the emery cloth to it, make sure everything's good to go on it. You're going to take your tube. You want to make sure it lines back up with the piece in the bottom that didn't come out of this one this time. You want to line it all up, make sure it goes back in. First thing to go back in from that point is you want to take the screw you took out of the bottom. Get some pipe sealant, little thread tape. What? Breaking up? Okay. Okay.